Hey, I'm ScoutAndy, and thank you for joining me in another video. It is holiday break for us, and so that means I have no school, and we were like, hey, let's work on the Porsche. Last video, the Porsche just started running on it by its own, and we were really excited. It was amazing. So we wanted to fix some problems with it. So one of them would be the power steering, and that's gonna be a problem because you got to be able to steer. Some people don't use their power steering because they like to feel like it's a race car, but we personally like to be able to steer. So we want to make sure that this car is all fixed up and is at least able to drive over to CarFest. And it's like a huge thing in Texas. And if you end up going to CarFest, maybe you'll see our car there, maybe you can vote for us, maybe we'll get a trophy. Yeah. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it.
Okay, y'all ready? Okay. Let's do it. Let's do this. Oh my gosh, it's moving.
The car is actually moving very, very smoothly. It's not broken down yet. It's actually a decently good ride so far. Flip the camera so you guys can see the ride as well. I never thought that we'd get to this point where the car would actually drive, but here we are. It's any wise words?
It actually drives pretty smooth for as old as the car is. As long as it's been sitting, it actually has been driving pretty smooth. We got fresh oil in it, fresh coolant in it, fresh gas in it. It's gonna need 4 new tires for sure.
One of the tires has a flat spot in it, so we're gonna have to completely change all the tires just so they match.
And the power steering.
Yeah, and the power steering is also a problem because we have to yank our wheel all the way to the other side of the known universe to get it to turn. But we think that once we fix that, we fix those problems, and maybe fix the timing belt, then maybe we can drive it to a gas station or something.
You did it! And it didn't blow up! Is your fire extinguisher there?
Yeah, we brought our fire extinguisher just in case. Just in case.
Well, we've had this car for 18 months, and this is the first time it's ever actually moved without us pushing it. It got out of the driveway, we backed out, but of course the second we moved forward, it just puked power steering fluid everywhere, all over the street. And so we found out that we're gonna have to probably just take out take it out and repair it ourselves. So we're hoping that we're gonna save a bit of money while doing this, because if you just buy one from Porsche, it's like $1,000 around there to just buy a new one. So we're gonna try to repair one for a bit less than that. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so how you take it off is first you want to loosen this one off, and then you'd want to loosen this one, which, by the way, make sure you have like a little tray down here because it's going to leak everywhere. You don't want that over your concrete because it'll stain it. Next, you want to loosen this one right here, and then there's one right over here in this corner, right there, and you want to loosen that one and then take the thing off. Like I said, do be aware that it's going to leak everywhere. Okay, so we're over here at the workbench and we have the ZF power steering pump. This is very, very similar to the ones that they use in BMW and Mercedes. So if you're watching this video and you have either of those cars, this is the video for you. So we're going to be using a 13mm wrench. I choose to use the circular side because it's a lot easier than using the other side. So first thing I want to say is that we cleaned it off so we could detect leaks on it, and we also put marks on it so we knew what side it was we were supposed to attach it to. We also put an L so we knew which side the long bolt was supposed to go on. So for the next step, you can just tilt it to the side like that, and then put your wrench on there. Make sure to push it the right way and not hit your knuckle against the table, because that is not fun. Oh my gosh. Sorry for anybody at home that had broken their fingers. Do this. This one's stuck. Okay, there we go. Once you get them loosened to the point where you can just loosen them off with your fingers, make sure to put them like this. Make sure to put it on the circular because it's going to split apart and it's going to go everywhere. And you don't want that. All right, we got the bolts out. So, we got to make sure there's nothing in there. When you're taking apart all these things, make sure there's nothing, like no special extra parts in there you should be worried about. So this is the butterfly right here, and we're going to be replacing the black thing right there with the new one over here in our little pile from Rennbay. Not sponsored, but I would not mind if they did. So we make sure to put these in the right orientation when you put them down, to not be confused. Next, there's like a little C-clip right here on this little cylindrical thing that makes it where this thing cannot go anywhere, so it doesn't fall apart. What we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to take this off. Whenever you're taking this off, make sure to be very, very careful when you're picking it up, because there's little cylinders in here all around this right here that would come out and pop out and go all over the floor, and that's not cool. It is satisfying to push out, but it is not satisfying to pick up. And also it may get scratched up, and it has a specific order that goes in, which is just a nightmare, and you may lose some, and just don't drop them. Be very careful with these. And next we're going to take off the C right here. Okay, so we got off the C clip right here. We have a little tool over here. Oh, I almost dropped it. We have one of these, and it makes it where it separates it. But if you don't have one of those, then you can always use needle nose pliers. Those will also work, or like a screwdriver. But just make sure to be very, very careful, because these things usually tend to go flying. But we have an extra one, but you don't want to lose pieces because that's just annoying. So next thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to flip this over without making these go everywhere. So I got a piece of cardboard, and we're going to put it right there. Sorry if my hands are in the way. I really just don't want to drop these. Oh, jeez. Okay. Be very careful. There we go. Okay. Okay, so that was a bit harder than I thought it was going to be. We got it out with a screwdriver. We just popped it out, but that was not easy. It was really stuck in there. Probably forbidden sitting in there for 10 years. It's probably did a bit of damage to it, or just made it stuck in there. Anyway, we have the brand new one right here. And this one says outside on it, which obviously means it's supposed to go inside. But you're supposed to put this side that says outside on the top. Make sure that it's completely flat because you don't want it to bend whenever it's crooked like that. We're going to hammer it in softly with a rubber mallet to make sure we don't damage it. So whenever you hammer it in, make sure to hammer it in with a rubber mallet and not our actual hammer because that could damage it. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, so we got a little thing we put on here and we gently hammered it to make it where it was a bit more even. So next thing you're going to do is you're going to want to very carefully put this together. And this is the part that I'm scared about. Okay, so make sure to be very, very careful while putting this on. You got to Indiana Jones it. Put it like this. Okay. And whenever you're putting it back onto this part, onto here, you're going to want to make sure that you put it on right, or else these little doohickey thing, these will go everywhere. So make sure you're very, very gentle with it. Unless you want to be picking up things like little Legos everywhere, like that. You do not want that. Luckily, it didn't go anywhere. Okay. Oh my. Make sure it's just very, very gentle. Oh my gosh. This is not good. Okay, we may cut.
Make sure it's all lined up.
Okay. Okay, make sure it's like lined up. Nope, not wrong.
Almost.
Okay, like right around. Nope. Oh, there we go. Cool. We didn't have to cut. Okay. Now with that, make sure to put on the C-clamp or else your work will be nothing. We're gonna reuse the old one because it's a bit fatter than the new one, so we'll just put that one on there. Hold on a minute. Okay, so we got the C-clip in. So I took out one of these, and I dropped it. And I took out one of these, and if you look very close, you can see that part of it looks like a book, like a little spine of a book, and the other half is just a square. So if some of these fall out, it's not a big video. It's just kind of like tedious. So whenever you're putting this in, it's just like a library. You put the pages towards the shelf and the spine towards you. You make sure I'm putting it in the right way, and I am. Okay, just like that. You just slide it in, and you're good. Next, make sure to get your pick if you have one, and just pick this out. There you go. Oh, there we go. And then you can just put it over there, and take your big O-ring from your kit, and then flatten it out on this side right here, and it should be completely flat. Or like, I'm not completely flat, but like to the point where you feel safe. Next, we're going to get the butterfly thing and put it right here. Make sure it's right way, like that. There's little notches on the bottom of it, right there. Okay. And then you're going to want to take your pick to your little thing. Here's a leverage you can use right here. Be very careful with this part because you don't want any of it to snap off inside of it. If you want to use the other side, kind of go around like that. So, even though you may not be using these pieces, you still want to make sure that you keep these just in case the new pieces don't work, because that's happened to us a couple times where the new pieces are just not the same, and so we have to use the old pieces. Okay, and there we go. We'll put this over here. So this new one right here, we're going to put it in exactly. So there's actually like a little groove in there, right there. You can put the little plastic part in there. So the little groove. And you want to put it inside of the mold. so. And then you just want to push it down. Okay, so we got it all lined up. Make sure that it's lined up because you don't want it to get pinched. Because if it does, then it's ruined. The ones that we took out were pretty torn up, which is probably why it was leaking. So now we're going to have to put this back on. So our marks were kind of rubbed off, but luckily we can use the feeder hole over here in the back of here and line up that. And make sure you put it on really well. Also, the reason why the butterfly, it may be wobbling for you is because it's kind of, the screws keep it where it's up. And if you just put something in the bottom, if you hold it up, if you do, and then you put like a screwdriver or like something small in there, it'll keep it up and it'll make it a bit easier for you to work on it like so. And it fell out because that's just my luck. There. Okay, so make sure you remember where this long bolt goes because this is the unique one. So ours goes in that corner over there. And these, make sure, if you could try to keep these together, then these would go, for us, this would go right here. And they would just screw in right there. And this other one would go over here. Make sure this thing didn't go apart. So we have our rebuilt power steering pump right here. It's hopefully as good as new. It was actually pretty easy, and if I can do it, you can do it. We saved a lot of money. A new one from Porsche, if they have one, because this car is like 35 years old, fact check me if I'm wrong, would cost around like 200 or more, like I said, if they have it, because this is a pretty old car. But I am really proud of how this came out. Hopefully it works and didn't blow up. And so the next thing you're going to have to do is just put it back where it came from. Okay, so we got the power steering pump in the car. So it was definitely really easy, except for one part, which was horrible. That little, we don't want to talk about it. So a couple of other things that we want to get fixed throughout the next videos is we want to make sure that we fix the wheel, because it has, this wheel right here actually has a little bump in it on the bottom, makes it work kind of like, you know, riding a horse. And it's like, but we could do that pretty easily. It's not really that hard. When we were driving around the block, people were like, hey, and we were like, hey, and it was kind of awkward because they were just staring. So anyway, another problem is the gas gauge doesn't seem to want to go up. Like, we put at least like 8 gallons of gas in there, and it just doesn't want to go up. Like, we may have to fix that, but it's not really that big of a problem because the car runs and we're happy. But that's about all we have for this video. So if you guys like this video, make sure to subscribe. I know I sound like every YouTuber right now, but make sure to subscribe. It's a little red button. So and make sure to click the bell icon, because that would so you know whenever I release videos. And also, if you have any questions about the car, put it in the comments, because I answer questions in the comments. And other than that, happy scouting. Hey, it's ScoutAndy, and thank you for joining me in another video. And I forgot what I was gonna say.
That was quick. All right, that was easy.
Okay, so we're over here at the workbench, and we have the...
What was that?
Hey, I'm ScoutAndy, and thank you for joining me in another video. So I'm on school break right now, and I decided, let's work on the Porsche. So we're driving around, we're about to drive around the car, and I forgot what I was gonna say.
Spoiler alert.
Let's cut that out.
Spoiler alert.